Okay, we got some time today. Federal government of Canada to pilot AI translation tool in 6 public service departments. My name is Alex, run an AI agency here in Toronto. We've been trying to get Canadians to adopt AI for about 3 years now. Americans, very easy. You show them a talking robot, they jump on board right away. Canadians come with concerns, fears, regulatory caution into submission. We're starting to see more of that in the federal government. And I'm starting to believe more and more that the adoption issue, or at least the resistance to adoption, runs even deeper than I thought. We have literal government leaders or people with high positions in the government pushing back against adopting the technology. And regularly, you'll see news headlines that are rooted in fear of the technology or pointing out some small hallucination or even a malfunction of the technology, and saying that AI is no good when the productivity yield from AI overall is absolutely insane. So I want to, and if you're a Canadian, you're watching this, you see me say this 100 times. Canadians, we love to be afraid. We love to feel like we're the victims, and we love to feel like we are getting the short end of the stick so we can make excuses. We can't do that anymore. The world is moving too fast and with too much uh, ferocity. I always tell the guys on the team, you need to be. I like to employ two things in our workplace: speed and brutality all the time. And AI makes it very easy for us to do that. We crunch through documents, content, strategy, workflow, everything at warp speed because we have AI. And I always tell them, if you don't have an AI terminal processing something for you at this currently right now as we're talking, then you're not moving fast enough. You need to be using AI all the time. So for me to see some people in the government literally pushing back for something as basic as a translation tool. I I love you, Evan Solomon. I love the All In conference. I love the new direction and refresh on AI strategy in Canada, but we still have a ways to go with flipping the switch in a lot of people's brains on this technology. So, and a lot of it has to do with work, job replacements. It's part of the package. But the same thing happened with the advent of electricity. The same thing happened with the advent of the internet. We just have to evolve. We have to change. We have to keep pace with how society moves into the future. So let's get into it. Public Service Union president is concerned over the French translation's quality. So, again, pointing to more cosmetic uh, aspects of AI technology, like the quality of your French translation. It's not 100% perfect. Are your translators 100% perfect? This is the next question I would have. But let's get into it. The federal government is piloting an artificial intelligence tool in 6 departments and agencies to help translate official languages to public service. On Monday, Minister of Government Transformation, Public Works, and Procurement, Joel Lightbound, announced GCtranslates as the first flagship project of the Treasury Board of Canada's Secretariat's Artificial Intelligence Strategy. So, literally, the Treasury Board has an artificial intelligence strategy. Great. Love to see that you guys are actually, looking at AI as a tool for your operations. Uh, the fact that we're still talking about just translating documents 3 years into the era of AI, a little concerning, very concerning. We're still dilly dallying with translations. We have our agency deploys voice agents that are multilingual. They have something called multi-language detection. They'll literally respond to you in the language that they're being spoken to. You start speaking Spanish, they'll speak Spanish. You start speaking French to them, they'll start speaking French. You start speaking German to them, they'll turn around and start speaking German. So for us, it's watching the evolution of our federal entities in slow motion try and get this technology on board. Meanwhile, in the states, you have a literal overhaul of their entire government being centered around like a swarm of AI agents. So the speed to which we're moving is just molasses. in Canada. But hey, we're moving, guys. Like, this is like, I'll take it, whatever. The technology was developed by Translation Bureau at Public Services and Procurement Canada. No start date is given on the pilot. Another thing we have in Canada, even Evan Solomon, I like that we have a word for it. Evan Solomon called it pilotitis. It's like we'll pilot and test things forever, but never actually do full implementations. Hopefully, this is not one of them. This is the most toes in the water canary pilot I've ever seen, just translating simple documents. Prime Minister Mark Carney and his government have been trying to integrate AI in hopes of boosting the public service productivity. God bless you. A previous version of the tool was tested in June and translated more than 60 million words in 3 months, or about 3,000 pages of translated content per workday, according to news release. I gotta say, that's not a lot. 3,000 pages. I think we might have 3,000 pages worth of blog content on our website right now. And any Google Translate button can go through it really quickly. So I'm very happy that we're using AI at the federal level. Do more, go faster. GCtranslate strengthens the use of both official languages across government and supports a modern public service that keeps pace with the digital age. Lightbound said, "This is about putting technology to work for Canadians so services are delivered faster, smarter, and in both official languages." And it's so funny, like right away, and I talk about this fear right away. Fears of negative impact on French. It's like right off the bat, guys. Like, we can't have a conversation about AI without Canadians being rooted in fear. It's and I know this is everything to do with the demographic of the people in power, how they have lived their lives and generally have been absent of technology for in this country for decades. So really no reason to look at it with any serious tones right now, but it's serious now. AI is ripping through our society at warp speed. We got to do better. But for us to immediately think like negative impacts on French, why are we protecting the French language here? I mean, I live in Ontario, so we get some Quebec people coming into the discovery room, looking for help, but generally, all of the machines that we work with translate everything out instantaneously. So regardless of the language you speak, we'll try and help you. French, English, Spanish. It really doesn't matter. We're using AI now. We live in a world where human languages to machines is all the same. It sounds a little different depending on where you're from. Fears of negative impact on French, but the head of one major public service union argued full automation of the government's translation services is a very bad idea when it comes to protecting Canada's official languages, especially French. I think this is going to have a negative impact directly on Francophone communities, said Nathan Pryor. Pryor, president of the Canadian Association of Professional Employees. AI loses a lot of the nuance of language. A Francophone reading an AI translation knows they're reading an AI translation. Yes, that may be true, but they're still getting content. Like, literally no one was there to translate it for them, and they could read it. That's the bottom line. And I think it really escapes Canadians that the bottom line is it was translated and no human had to do it. It was just done. And I think once that really people start to clue into, like, these robots are doing work automatically by themselves, no one's telling them what to do, like they're building, being productive, it's really going to sink in like, hey guys, let's stop complaining about all this stuff. Let's just do AI more, build more, be productive. Let's see. He said the project is chiefly driven by cost cutting and said its implementation has been problematic. Completely understand that. A lot has happened in the very chaotic, very unsupervised way, sacrificing the quality of French in the meantime. It's French that pays the price. I didn't think that French and English, like the languages, could feel anything or pay anything, but I suppose. Pryor said the technology is best employed alongside human translators, not as a replacement for them. Arguable. These are people with what? These are people with decades of experience in translation who know how to integrate these things without sacrificing quality. Did this guy really use like a these are people with decades of experience. Okay. Their foundation they're the foundation of bilingualism in Canada. They should be at the front line of this conversation instead of hearing about the plans after the fact. Uh, a lot of people are going to have to upskill or sidestep their job. So, okay. Evaluated by translators. According to the government, GCtranslate was evaluated by the professional translators and uses the Translation Bureau's catalog of words. Translation Bureau also plans to explore how AI can support translation into indigenous languages. Great, someone's looking after the indigenous community with AI. That I love to see. Like, good stuff. GC translates will be tested in 6 federal departments and agencies with the ultimate aim of government-wide implementation. These government departments and agencies will pilot GC Translate, Public Service Procurement Canada, Privy Council Office, Department of Finance Canada, Canadian Heritage, Financial Transactions, Reports Analysis Center of Canada, and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Oh, the RCMP, good for you guys, man. Use more AI, like help protect Canada more with technology. Great. So that was an article by the CBC. It was relatively, I mean, neutral, I guess. Still, to think that the French language is at risk because of AI in a few departments, like, guys, come on. Like, you're really reaching for the stars now to try and get these clicks with fear. Like, I'm very positive every government in the world is translating documents at warp speed with this stuff and seldom even paying attention to the quality, just because the amount of work you do will outweigh maybe a small hallucination or error here and there that can be combed over and worked through over time. But just the bulk amount of work and data treatment that you're getting instantaneously right now, it's worth it. Like, this is so obvious. But of course, we need to fear the masses. I just want to look at another article talking about the same thing from the Ottawa Citizen, a little bit different. It's a little bit more colorful. The government AI translation program raises questions for workers and language rights. Now, this is the top part of the conversation where it's like, okay, we know that translation and how that works is changing. Like, literally, I think Meta has new glasses with HUDs, like literally in the lens. Like, I can be looking at my computer, my glasses right now, and they have a live translate function where if someone's speaking in a different language to you, it's translating in real time on your screen in your glasses, so you can understand what people are saying in a different language. That is insanely powerful technology. I see people doing international business, international security, everything. Like, I would wear those glasses just walking around downtown Toronto, listening to everyone speak Hindi or whatever language they're speaking now. So for me, it's like, this technology isn't hurting us, guys. It's not hurt. It might be displacing and dislocating a few people with very specialized roles that can, do other things, but it's helping us overall. Government AI translation program raises questions for workers and language rights. The federal government's shift to artificial intelligence and translation carries the promise of productivity boosts and faster communication, but also risks language rights and job losses, observers say. On September 29th, the government launched GC Translate, the first flagship artificial intelligence project emerging from the federal artificial intelligence strategy. So this is the strategy, like, coming from the federal government, and then right away people are like, "Oh, job losses. We got to worry about job. We got to worry about the future cohesion of our economy." I want to scroll down to the here we go. Living language and the threat to linguistic rights. This is where I'm having a hard time understanding how languages have rights. Like, I spoke in English my whole life. Learned a little bit of French growing up. I mean, I was forced to learn it up until I think grade 10. Learned some Spanish in high school as well. I like Spanish the most. Just speaking it and listening to it. English is second. French not that high up there, but I like to listen and understand what they're saying. I can't speak it very well, but I like to know that I can understand it a bit. So the living language and threat to linguistic rights, as an example, Fiberge points to the bilingual requirements for supervisors and says the AI tool cannot be used as an excuse to bypass linguistic obligations within the government. So these linguistic rules and requirements for supervisors, they were developed pre-AI era. So we're in the era of AI now. all regulations, concerning the requirements for what humans need to do, they're going to change because now we're empowering humans with AI tools and tools that can, translate, do math really well. These, I would even go as far as to say you're going to at some point see requirements in the government for people to be AI literate. That's event that I foresee a time when that's going to be a requirement for to work in the government. You must have some basic level of AI literacy. So for me to think that this bilingual requirement is at threat, I just think that the requirement is going to transform given the new technology. So I mean, it's just like when everyone started to get emails. Now, email communications and authorizations meant something. If you got an email confirming or authorizing something, that's a new thing. That might be a new requirement. So it's really, with a new technology, laws and rules and regulations, all that stuff has to change, and that's why I'm a firm believer that technology is, the human race's gateway to evolution. We literally have to change how we do things in order to acclimate to the new technology and subsequently survive the new community or society that technology spurs on. These are there are also concerns that GCtranslate will bias one language, particularly English, since AI tools scrape data from the internet, the Bird says. And I would go as far as to slightly agree with that. Like biasing one language, particularly English, because there's more English content and more information for the AI to infer answers. It just has more data to make a better conclusion. So is that bias or is just that data availability? Through the eyes of the AI, it's simply the availability of data. There's more English data to make references from. And so English is going to be a little bit easier, a lot easier for AI to manage when communicating with humans. French, probably not as much content, probably going to be a little less nuanced. Let's see here. Oh, there I am. So let me just also here. Antoine Hesberger, Vice President of the Canadian Association of Professional Employees Translation Group and a translator with the Translation Bureau, said the biggest concerns from his union's membership involved the loss of nuance within language. This is just more humans grasping at any straw they can to discount this technology in order to protect their roles. It's fine, guys. Like this is part of uh, the evolution. This is part of the technology. We have to readjust. We have to reskill. Hell, I personally had to completely overhaul my world and my life around this technology. Like literally everything that I've done, everything that I did for 12 years up until 2023, everything I had to completely turn on its head. It took me 3 years, but now I'm doing well. If you're willing to adjust and acclimate towards a new environment, you will do well. You'd have to evolve. Let me see. It's mainly francophones that are going to be paying the price for that, since the vast majority of translations are from English to French. It's a concern from Hasberger since his membership with the Translation Bureau sees themselves as kind of a bridge between francophones and anglophones in this country. Okay, so we have a human being saying that, or feeling, we have a human being feeling that his department is a bridge between francophones and anglophones in this country. That's the feeling that this human has. AI doesn't have that feeling. AI is just the bridge between francophones and anglophones in this country, just because it doesn't ask questions. If I get an email from someone in Quebec and there's French in it that I don't understand, I copy paste it on ChatGPT. What do they say? That's a pretty fast bridge. It's literally like 2 seconds. So we really got to pay attention to the feelings that human beings are having in response to this technology. And I know it sounds like sort of like, what, this guy's like telling me I have to like pay attention to feelings and stuff like that. Yes. Yes. You have to be able to look at the entity that is saying whatever it's saying and saying, well, where are that entity's motivations being derived from? This is a human being who has an income that's tied to translating French to English. And so that human being's motivations are going to be stop or resist anything that would threaten that. If you were to ask AI, hey, AI, how do you feel about translating French to English? Or how do you feel about not being able to do that? The AI probably say something like, oh, well, not today, I guess. Like, machines don't feel, they just work. So we have to move away from this, oh, well, my feelings are hurt because this machine can do this work better than me or faster or at scale or we don't need to pay it as much. We got to move away from those feelings and move more towards, holy shit, I have a machine here that can do an insane amount of work in a short amount of time. What can I do to be productive with it? Because if you're willing to say that, like the first part, I even felt the first part. When I was working with ChatGPT for the first time, I'm literally looking at a machine do my entire job, my world, better than me, faster than me, like in seconds. I'm watching it print out a response that looks far better than mine if I were to, provide that work for a client. And I thought to myself, I'm done. I'm done. I'm out of a job. I'm literally like my career's done. But then I noticed that there is a very large knowledge gap in the world of AI to the point where when you're familiar with AI and you know the nuances and how things work, your confidence in the technology skyrockets. But if you're still at that place where you're in fear that things are going to be taken from you, things are moving too quickly, you can't adjust, then yes, of course, you're going to feel those things. But in leaping that gap and taking the risk of going all in into AI, I realized that it's just a mentality. As soon as we pick up the tools and we start to be productive, we forget about the fears and we literally transmute that fear into courage. So the concern for Hasburger, since his membership sees itself as a bridge, the Translation Bureau was founded on in that spirit, I think, and to a look at, we're using words like spirit, founded in that spirit. I want to see words like the Bureau was founded in productivity and advancement of our population. Spirit and emotions and feelings, they're not doing us very well right now, guys. We have to do better. I think and to uphold Canadian bilingualism, it's founded in spirit, we're seeing that being thrown under the bus just to cut costs. No problem. Cut costs to hire someone else to do something else. Cut costs to pay down debts. If we latch onto spirit and feelings and emotions forever, our country's going to just collapse. Someone has to pick up the wrench and the screwdriver and be like, you know what, this is going to make me feel bad. It's going to be hard, but I got to do this so that our stuff, our you know, operations don't fall apart. I feel like I'm that guy a lot of the times in our company. These guys are excited. They're working with AI, making money. Great. Everyone's so happy. I always tell them, you guys are too happy. What we're doing is hard work. We're trying to help Canadians adopt some of the most complex technologies and hardest to understand and most frightening technologies ever. You can't be so happy. Sometimes you got to put on a serious face for your customers and let them know how serious what they're considering is. They're going to be implementing an AI digital employee, and they're going to change the fabric of their business. They're going to evolve. Look serious about it. Be serious about it. So I sort of feel like, I have to put on that hat a lot of the times, but I don't mind it so much because clients really appreciate it. The people we work for really appreciate that I'm taking a serious tone, especially when it comes to compliance, especially when it comes to hallucinations, guardrails, making sure things work properly. So I really hope that we start to adopt that mentality in the government. The concern is similar for the Burge, who says language more than words, but also carries with it tradition, culture, and identity. Again, like all this stuff, guys. Like, come on. It's where he has always has the fear that if translation is possible for everything, one language will become a language of translation. Yes. Yes. For a language to be alive, it has to be used in authentic work situation. It has to be authentic when we work with it and deal with Canadians. No. Languages are becoming more of a bias. Like, what language do you like to speak? Oh, you like to speak Spanish? Okay, speak Spanish to the robot. The robot's going to translate that for all the English speakers. It's purely becoming a matter of preference. And I understand there's some cultural identity rooted in language, but we're at a point now where can we really be considering all this stuff like traditions, culture, spirit, and all that stuff when we have young people who can't afford to live? Do we have the privilege of that? Or are we trying to make sure that we have a society in the next 20 years? What do you guys think? I know what I think. Let me see. Concerns over cost cutting and job losses. This is one where it's like we're gonna guys. Jobs are it's a reorganization of operations, and I sort of I don't like to spread bad news. I like to spread reality. Like this is the reality of it. We need to keep pace with what's happening in a meaningful way, and that sometimes includes making hard decisions. God, I know I've had to make some extremely difficult decisions. But I mean, and that's the thing, like, and even the people in my life are like, Alex, you just because you're doing things that are difficult and hard. And you've made hard sacrifices. Not everyone can do that stuff. Not everyone's built like that. Hopefully they start because we don't have the privilege of being soft. If you see your translation job being under threat because of AI, learn AI or try and figure out something else. You got to just respond to the factors that are affecting you. Don't just sit there and wait for life to happen to you. You have to happen to life. So concerns over cuts to the Translation Bureau remain top of mind as the rollout of GCtranslate begins. Earlier this year, the Translation Bureau was told it would reduce the workforce by 25% over 5 years. That's not even that bad. 25% over 5 years. Some of the tech companies in the States are reducing 10% now, 20% now. So, and the people who are losing their jobs in the States, they're upset, but they know this is America. You got to fight. You got to fend for yourself. Man, we're gonna have a lot of strong people coming out the other side of this transformation. I tell you that. We're gonna have a lot of people who are gonna lose too, but that this is the natural selection, like literally right before our eyes. The cut through attrition would involve around 339 positions. Not even that bad, amounting to a loss of transition capacity and knowledge that has not been transferred onto a new generation of translators. There's not going to be a new generation of translators, my guy. Hertzberger says translators see AI as another technological tool that can help them to do their work. However, when the government rolls out AI translation instead of investing in the Translation Bureau, it seems as if it's rolled out as something to replace us instead of something that to help us. The government's got to make hard decisions too. They're looking at their departments and saying, how can we leverage technology to make it so we're making the bills easier and we can cut down on debt? And that's why I'm always telling Canadians, you need to start looking at the people who are paying you and looking at yourself through their eyes and asking from their position, is Alex or the person I'm looking at worth paying? We no longer live in an economy where as a worker we have the privilege of demanding things or like I would say basic, human rights, but like in terms of getting paid to do work, there's so many different ways to get things done now and the gig economy is completely exploding. It's like having a job, having a salary is a privilege because some entity somewhere is trusting that they're going to get max productivity out of you for 7.5, 8 hours, 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. And I remember working in the 9 to 5 environment. You're never getting someone's max productivity every day, all day, unless that person is a lifer and they're giving well beyond what they should be and keeping everything together. You have two types of people working 9 to 5. Those people who are going to work, keeping their head down, just collecting a steady paycheck. And then there's the people who are staying 4 or 5 hours late every day, making sure things don't break. You're not going to be able to get people in the second category all the time. Those people end up becoming bosses or business owners themselves. The general population working 9 to 5, like it's very. I mean, you're going to have your group of hard workers who are getting the short end of the stick, but you're going to have a lot of people out here who are not working hard enough for the money that they're getting. And the government's looking at their situation going, is that us? Do we have people in government that that are getting paid a certain amount, but we're not getting that level of productivity. What are our alternatives? So we gotta swallow this reality, guys. And it, I maybe I am the bearer of bad news, but at least I'm coming with some element of, or I like to think at least some truth or something that you guys can say. You know what? The guy sounds mean, but he's right. See anything else here we want to talk about? Again, it's same as the other article. Departments are seeing translation as just a cost that they're trying to cut. Thiberic says that there will be a greater need for translators of public service to ensure the AI tool works properly and translations are not littered with errors. No, there won't. There will always be a need for people to revise text, to relook, to add, to revisit text, and to keep putting in new data into AI systems, into learning systems. Yes, that's true. You're going to need AI operators, but you're never going to need people to go back and check stuff. Like it's amazing when you're moving through so much data so quickly, you seldom go back and check. What happens generally is that when you're working with an agent, you do a lot of testing and then minimize hallucinations. And the checking process happens iteratively over time as the agent is being deployed or it's being launched. So this part I really agree with. You're going to need people to keep putting data into AI systems, into learning systems, but you're never going to have a greater need for translators in the public service sector. That's just wrong. It's going to be a lesser need. You're going to have maybe one person doing periodic checks on the AI to monitor its output, but you're never going to need like a team of people to go, let's go make sure these 60 million words are perfect, so that when like the 5 people who look at them throughout the year they have a perfect experience. No, you're not. You're going to go to the next 60 million words and try and figure out how to do that. And then you're going to go to the next 100 million words. And then you're going to try and chop down as much as you can in as short a time as you can, because you figured out how AI works. So I just wanted to touch on this conversation for a bit, because it is having to do with AI adoption in Canada. The use case is, we're going slow, guys. This use case is borderline pathetic. AI translation programs, like what? Let's just really quickly look at what U.S. federal government AI strategy. Real quick, let's just see what they're doing. The U.S. federal government's AI strategy includes Executive Order 1400 or 14,110, 2024, which focuses on safe, secure, and trustworthy deployment of use of AI, various efforts to promote AI research and adoption across agencies. While the Trump administration initiated American AI initiatives strengthening U.S. leadership, the Biden administration strategy builds on this by prioritizing innovative and federal AI use. Key initiatives and policies: executive order, safe, secure, blah, 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 AI action plan, enterprise data, AI strategy, innovation, federal use, research and investments, standards of government. Like, watching Canada, dilly dally over translation tools, while, you know, the US government has got a huge, like, it just literally updated in July their AI action plan. It's like, we really have to. Well, what does this say? Federal funding to be directed towards states with burdensome AI regulation that waste these. Wow, okay, interesting. Like, they're even looking at those states who have AI regulations and saying they're burdensome. Like, that's their position on AI. It's, we are trying to deploy as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, Canadian government's worried about translators. It's like, we got to get our priorities straight. We have to go faster, as stronger, harder now. I always tell my guys, if you're not doing something right now, you're literally falling behind. That's the type of world we live in now. But I'm gonna try and cut this one off here. If you like, the type of stuff we're covering here, or you think, this might help your conversations on AI adoption, or you're just interested in what's going on with AI in Canada or in the rest of the world, give us a like and subscribe. Our AI agency helps, small business, medium enterprise, as well as municipalities and transit systems with their AI adoption. And we pay very close attention to the conversations happening around AI at the federal level, provincial level. We want to know what's going on with, labor, specifically, a situation like this, we want to know what's going on. We want to know what's going on with regulation when it comes to compliance, data handling. Like, this stuff is really important for us to be apprised of, because it guides the agency and sort of, what we do for our clients and how we prepare them for the future world of AI. So if you're interested in that stuff, you need a discovery call, you need help, no problem. But if you're just curious about what AI means for you, and your job, and what you think might happen to it, you'll put some comments in there. Leave some comments for us. We love to see them. We'll try our best to respond to them. They're not going to be AI responses. Like, if we're if you put a comment there and AI is not going to respond, it's literally going to be one of us trying to figure out time to get into these comments. But we're approaching 100 subscribers, so I'm going to try and get more content up there for this type of conversation for you guys, and hopefully bring some more understanding to the world of AI in Canada, to Canadians especially, because we really need it. Looking forward to the next one. Bye now.